So for this yoga for runners, we're gonna start laying on our back. And take a moment to just warm up the joints of the body, roll the wrist, roll the ankles. Just take some deep breaths into those expanded rib cages. And then squeeze your knees into the chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. And then hands behind the back of the thighs. Energize your legs as straight as they can go, and then start to roll the ankles, going in all directions. And point and flex the feet, all the way forward, all the way back. Deep breaths. And release and squeeze the knees back into the chest. Open the arms wide and drop your knees to the left side. Look over the right shoulder. Dropping the right shoulder blade down the back. And making sure you're still breathing all the way in and out. Good. These twists are just great for relieving some of the tension in the low back. Deep breath. And then pull your knees up through center over to the right side and look over the left shoulder, stretching out the back, a little stretch for those outer hips. Making sure you can breathe all the way in and out, or else that means you're twisting a little too far. You can always back it up. And then come back to center. Grab the knees and pull them towards your shoulders, so kind of a nice wide squat with the knees. And then on the inhale, we're gonna reach your left arm back, left leg forward, squeeze that right knee in tight, and exhale to switch. Inhale, reach the right arm all the way back, right leg forward, and squeeze it in. Good. We're going to transition to happy baby. Grab the outer edges of the feet. You can grab the ankles or shins instead. Press your tailbone down. Take a deep inhale here. Deep exhale. And then reach just the left side long. Left arm back, left leg forward. Squeeze the right knee in towards the ground. And then exhale, left arm and leg come back in. Inhale, right side reaches, exaggerate the pressure in the left side, squeeze the left glute, and exhale, right leg comes back in. Good. And we're just gonna alternate. Inhale to reach on the left, squeeze the right side, and exhale to come back in. Good. Really reaching, trying to keep the leg as straight as you can until you really need a bend to grab. Helping to gently stretch open the hamstrings. Working on the inner thigh, synchronizing our breath with our motion. We'll just take a few more cycles, steady breath, lubricating the hip joint, the knee joints. Take one more cycle. Making your way back to happy baby once you're even. Pressing the tailbone down. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Release the feet. Extend your legs and then use your hands on the inner thighs to add an extra stretch on the inseam of the leg. Straddling, energize the quads. Take a smooth breath here. Smooth breath out. And then squeeze your legs back up to center. Bend the knees, plant the heels close to your glutes. Hands press down. On the inhale, lift the hips up into bridge pose. Good, you can hold right here. Maybe clasp the hands underneath you, rolling to the left, right shoulder under the shoulder blades, left shoulder under the left shoulder blades. Lift the hip, firing the glutes. Push into the upper arms, and then we're opening up through the hip flexors as well. Take another deep, deep breath. And then slowly release, lowering the arms down. Good. From here, we're going to straighten the left leg onto the floor and then stick the right leg up to the sky. Give that right ankle another few rolls, going in both directions. And then you can interlace your hands behind the back of the right thigh. Flex the right foot, energize the right quad, and then push your right hip bone forward. It's probably hiked up a bit. Just push it forward towards the top of the mat, and then pull the right leg in to stretch through the hamstrings. Feel free to adjust your grip to whatever makes sense for your body today. And then just breathe into that stretch. And then add a little rock side to side with the right leg. And you'll notice as you pull to the left, you don't need to go very far to feel a stretch in your outer hamstring along the IT band. It's usually pretty tight, so push the right hip bone forward still, anchoring it, making sure you're getting that optimal stretch. And next time you're towards the left, hold there. Re-engage that right hip bone forward, re-engage the right quad. Smooth breath. Good. And gently come back to center. Bend the left knee, plant the left foot onto the ground, and then bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. We're going to thread the needle, right hand goes through, clasp behind the left thigh, relax the left foot, but flex the right foot, and then pull the left thigh in, push your tailbone down, open through that right hip, and again, you can add a little rock side to side. Feeling a slightly deeper stretch when you pull to the left, creating a little more distance joint to joint. Keep the breath smooth and even. So especially when we're uncomfortable, it's easy for our breath to become a little quicker, but it's actually more efficient to go slow, to utilize your full lung capacity. Next time you're towards the left, hold there, and then re-anchor, tailbone down. Pull that left thigh in, relax the shoulders. Take another deep breath. And slowly release. Good. And then straighten both legs to the floor. Give them a little wiggle, a little rock. Good. And then we're going to keep that right leg down. Pull the left leg up. Clasp your hands behind the left thigh and roll out the left ankle. Good. Lots of little bones in that ankle. We're just helping to lubricate through those joints. And then flex the foot, energize the quad, push that left hip bone forward in space as you pull the left leg in. Good. As long as you've got that left hip anchored forward, you don't really need to pull the left leg much at all to feel that stretch in the hamstrings. Smooth breath, maybe inhaling through the hip, exhales shooting out the heel. Just having that visual can sometimes help. And then you can add a little rock left to right. Maybe engage the back of the throat for Ujjayi breath, creating a little texture, a little more presence of the breath. You can hear it, you can feel it. Next time you're towards the right, hold there. Check those anchor points, left hip bone pushing forward. flex that left foot. Smooth, steady breath. And gently come back to center, plant the right foot down, and then bend the left knee, left ankle on top of the right thigh. Thread the needle. Left hand goes through the triangle of the legs. You can clasp behind the right thigh, flex that left foot, and then pull it in, press the tailbone down, add your little rock side to side. Smooth, even breaths that help encourage a smooth and even mind. Those fluctuations starting to settle down, the chatter subsiding. Next time you're towards the right side, hold there, press into the tailbone, really flex through that left foot. And gently release. Extend the legs again, give those legs a little rock side to side, release the feet. And then pull the knees back into the chest, and we're gonna rock forward, backward, crossing at the ankles, coming all the way up, hands forward, legs back, and take it into cat-cow for a few breaths, just to open the spine. Inhale to lift the sternum. Exhale to tuck and curl. Just take a few cycles of these at your own pace. Elbows are not locked. They're a little soft so that you can really push into the hands. And then on your next exhale, walk the hands forward 2 inches and curl under the toes. Move it back into down dog and pedal out the feet. Stretching out the backs of the toes, the hamstrings, and then also stretch the tops of the toes and the tops of the ankles. Adding a little wiggle to your hips to stretch different angles of the glutes, the hamstrings. And then inhale, pull forward into your plank. Exhale to shift back, downward facing dog. Inhale up into the toes, and then exhale, bend the knees, walk up to the top of the mat. Good, soften the knees, grab your elbows, let yourself hang for a few moments. Maybe alternating, straightening one leg, then the other. Relax the neck, relax the shoulders. Feel free to give the head a shake to help release the neck of any tension. And then release the arms. On your inhale, lift up to your flat back, elongate the spine, engage the glutes. And then exhale to fold it back down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Plant the hands. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale to lift halfway. And then on the exhale, shoot the left leg back, right leg stays in front. And then from here, if your knees are sensitive, you might want a pillow, a blanket, or you can also fold your mat so that your left knee's on top of a double mat. And then rise up into your half crescent pose. Good, so if you're off balance, you can also wiggle your right foot to the right a little more so that you have a wider base. But you're squeezing the left glute, lifting the frontal hip points, and we're focusing on stretching that left hip flexor. It's super important to keep that open. Reach your arms up. Keep squeezing the left glute and simply truncating that core section by lifting the hip bone. That's going to feel huge right here no matter how deep you're bending into that right knee. Good. Take a few deep breaths, opening the quad, that hip flexor, and then grab your left wrist with the right hand to pull away from the left hip. And instead of thinking about how far you can tilt, think about how long you can grow, how much space you can create between the left wrist and the left hip. Breathe into that space. Nourish all those little nooks and crannies with your full breath. Keep that rising through the left arm, and then just swivel to look to the right, and then a little hinge down, gazing at the right edge of your mat. So now we're getting into the psoas, into the piriformis in that low left back region. Keep squeezing the left glute. You're just gazing at the right edge of your mat. Gentle curve, but we're still rising, growing. Take a few breaths here. And then inhale, come back up to center. Lower the hands and then straighten the front leg and flex the right foot. So from here, if the floor feels too far away, you can always use a pillow, a block, something to help lift, or you can just go up into those fingertips. And we're stretching into the hamstrings. This is huge. And then you want your left hip on top of the left knee. So if you notice that your hip is kind of pulled back, you can always inch your right foot forward a little more. Draw the right hip back, draw the left hip forward. Inhale, elongate the spine. Smooth breaths into the hamstring. Try to reach your sternum forward. Make sure you're uncomfortable but not in pain. Steady breath. From here, just add a little rock of your torso left to right. So just like we did on our back, that slight shift in angle is going to help us stretch into different areas of the hamstring, the inner, middle, and outer. So the more right you go, the more into the outer hamstring you get, and vice versa. And next time you're angled to the right a bit, hold there. It's that outer hamstring that tends to get super tight. So we're just going to take a few extra breaths here. Keep energizing that right quad, all the same actions as we had on our back. Now we're just working with gravity. Take another deep breath. And then come back to center. Rebend the right knee, plant the hands. You can lift the back knee up off the floor. And then push into your hands to lift the right leg up to the sky. Good. Sink the left heel down. Bend the right knee. Open the right hip towards the ceiling. Stretch the inseam of that left leg. And then add a couple rolls of the right leg around the room. Take advantage of that full ball and socket joint. It's our biggest one in the body. Full circles, switch directions. And then reach the right leg back up. On your exhale, pull the right knee behind the right wrist for Pigeon Pose. So you've got right knee behind right wrist, right ankle lined up behind the left wrist. Left leg is straight behind you. And take a moment to first lift the chest. So squeeze your left glute, lift the chest. Again, we're stretching into the left hip flexor. If this feels really awkward, you can take a pillow and place it under the right hip for a little extra height. And then take your left hand and place it over the right thigh and see if you can add a little swivel. Look over the right shoulder. Inviting that hip flexor stretch up into the core a bit. Keep squeezing the left glute. Smooth breath. And then gently release back to center. Keep that heart lifted as you hinge and fold over the right leg. Good. Steady breath in, smooth breath out. You can let your forehead rest down on your hands, on the mat, or on a block or pillow. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Even inhale, even exhale. Gently lift the chest just enough to angle your chest to the left, an inch, maybe 2, maybe 3. Feel out how far is good for you. And then we're just gonna fold again towards the left corner of your mat. So this is again just a little ankle shift to get at a different chunk of the muscle groups. So now getting further into that outer right hip. And the constant is our deep breaths, so that no matter what muscle group we're opening through, we're inviting that full oxygenation, deep, deep, deep restoration. Gently inhale to rise back up. You can push into the hands and curl the back toe under. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Stretch those toes out again. Stretch everything out through the lower half. Maybe noticing the right heel. It's a little easier to reach down than the left heel. A little less resistance, more freedom in the body. And we'll just do a vinyasa to reset. Inhale, lift up into the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, step or walk up to the top of the mat. Folding forward on the inhale, lift up halfway. Elongate the spine. Exhale, relax it back down. Inhale to sweep the arms up, press the hands above you. And exhale, dive it forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, plant the hands, move your legs back into your plank. You can move into down dog or take your vinyasa, exhaling through half push-up. Inhaling to up dog or low cobra. And exhaling back, downward facing dog. Take a few steady breaths here. Allow the shoulder blades to pull away from the ears so the neck can really elongate. The skull is heavy, and so you're letting that skull pull down as the tailbone lifts up, creating space in the spine. Take another deep breath. On your next inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. So left leg is high, right heel is grounded. Then the left knee, open the hip. And take a few swirls of that left leg. And swirl the other way. Straighten the left leg up. And then plant that left foot forward between the hands. Coming back into lunge on the left side. So left leg in front, right leg back. And once you're there, again, you can fold the mat or use a blanket so that your right knee has a little extra cushion. And once you've got that, relax the right toes and then reach the arms up. Good, so we're in our lunge. Right glute is firing, active. The frontal hip bones are rising up to create a little more space in that right hip flexor. Take a few breaths here just to allow that space to release. Good, nice deep bend in that left knee. Grab the right wrist, and then we're going to pull the right wrist up and over to the left, focusing more on the up than the over. Smooth, even breaths. It's funny how
often we need a reminder to breathe. And then just add a little swivel of your torso to the left, and then tilt down to gaze at the left edge of your mat to invite that stretch up into the low back. Keep rising as you twist. Smooth, even breaths. Gently inhale back up. And then on the exhale, we're going to lower the hands and straighten the front leg, flexing the left foot. Again, you might need to inch the left foot forward a little bit so you've got your right hip stacking on top of the right knee. Pull the right hip bone forward, plug that left femur bone back into the hip socket, and then try to find as long of a spine as you can, reaching the sternum forward, breathing up and down the leg. And then once again, you can add that soft rocking side to side with the chest. Just familiarizing yourself with those boundaries where you start to play with that realm of pain and then backing off. Make sure you're just uncomfortable. Only once you understand and know where your boundaries are, you can lean from there or press from there in a safe space. Take another deep breath. And next time you're towards the left side, hold that angle, getting into the outer hamstring. Keep flexing those toes back, reaching the sternum forward. And then come back to center, rebend the left knee. Plant the hands and lift the back knee up off the floor. Push into the hands, lift the left leg up. And then exhale, move into pigeon on the left side. Left knee behind the left wrist. Left ankle lined up behind the right wrist. Right leg is directly behind you. Start by walking the hands back and lifting the heart. Squeeze that right glute. Lift the sternum, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take the right hand to the outer left thigh, add a little twist, look over the left shoulder, creating space and length through the torso into that right hip flexor. And bring your chest back to center and hinge it forward for your pigeon pose, melting over the legs. Softening your right hip bone down to the ground. Smooth breath in, deep breath out. Gently lift the chest and add that slight angle to the right. And then melt it back down, angling the chest towards the right corner of the mat to exaggerate the stretch in the left hip. And gently inhale to rise back up. Roll onto the left side and sweep your right leg in front. Give both legs a shake in front of you. And then just come into a comfortable cross-legged seat. I realize I'm a little past time, so we're just gonna take a moment to do a sitting Shavasana. So elongate the spine, relax the shoulders. Just place your palms down on your thighs
for a bit of that grounding energy. Feel the earth beneath you, but at the same time, feel a rising through the crown of the head. Feeling connected to the skies above, to the core of the earth below. Experiencing yourself as a vessel of energy, of love, of light. And acknowledging your efforts to tend to this body, to tend to this vessel. Gently bring your hands to your heart, thumbs connecting to the sternum. Allow your chin to soften down. And then experience an energy right at your core, kind of by the belly button. And imagine an energy drawing the three of us together, almost like little spokes of a wheel. Feeling connected not only to the skies above and the earth below, but to all those other souls in our life who nourish us and who we get to nourish right back. Namaste.